We're going live. It's happening.
All right.
Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name's Ben. Here to answer your shooting questions. Today, we have Mr. Tim Herron.
What's up, guys?
We have Mr. Matt Hopkins.
Hi.
I love it.
Cool.
I do. I love it.
And it sounds like Mimi's also on deck.
Yeah, she's here.
All right. First podcast question. I think should be for you, Matt, because you're our steel guy. Our resident steel retard.
We'll
Okay.
see.
I don't have any... Okay, but basically this guy sends a kind of a long-winded email about how he's pretty good. He's a pretty good steel GM. He's a steel challenge GM. But
Okay.
the difference between him and the top 5 guys is significant, as you can imagine, because he's not one of those guys, and there's a gap there. All right. Well, I don't have any real obvious weaknesses on the 8 stages I need to address. I believe I need to be working on lots of little things to continue to bring my times down. However, this collection of little things to fix is not the same for each stage. So, given the fact that I have a reasonable idea of what those things are, would it be more effective to work on, say, one stage for an entire month at a time versus what I do now, which is to continually rotate through all 8 stages in my training routine? My current training routine is 6 times a week dry fire for 30 minutes to an hour. 3 times a week live fire, about 250 rounds each session. And even with this schedule, it doesn't feel like I'm spending enough time on each stage to address a multitude of small things I need to get better and drop my times. Is this a perception thing and I just need to stop being impatient? Or can I see faster improvement by changing my training methodology? What say the almighty panel of GMs? What do you say, Hopkins?
He's practicing a lot.
All right, the one thing I would say is like this dude. He's doing this year round, I think.
Okay.
Okay, which means he's practicing more than the dude's winning the match.
Yeah.
Practicing
by far,
more
I think.
by a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Just thought I'd point that out.
Yeah. Where I'm at, I think he needs to maybe get with one of them guys and have them show him what he's missing.
He's already done that,
He has?
guaranteed.
Shit.
This is a training question, Hopkins.
You do one thing till you, got it, I think. Is what I
So
would do.
you'd say one stage a month.
Yeah. I think that would be best. And then you already know where you have to be because all the times are published. So once you get to that time, you can consistent.
Well, he's going to have to be well under that time in training, right? So it's not really as simple as just get to that time.
Well, get to whatever you know it is, which would be the time on the stages.
No, not in training. You
Why
have to
not?
be able to shoot those times cold in a match.
Okay. All right, so better than that. Get down to whatever time it needs to be,
Yeah. Basically, if you see
and then
Casey,
go to the next stage.
you see Casey put some fucking Instagram video up of him going retarded in training on a stage, you got to be able to match it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you have to.
All right. So that's the goal. One stage a month. I'd get bored as shit. This is a good reason to not shoot steel.
Yeah,
Well, he's
I've
doing
fucking
kind of the
scratched my
same
eyeballs
sort of
out by
thing
now.
already.
Oh yeah. This
I mean,
guy's
he's
a
only rotating through
lunatic.
8
I'm
different
telling you.
things.
Man. So what would doing the same stage for a month, what would that look like to you?
It'd be like working to try to hundo the same classifier.
Well, no, it's
In
not.
my
just hundo
in
it.
my mind.
Not just hundo it,
Yeah,
like
max it.
hundo and 50 it. Like
Right.
repeatedly.
But that'd be kind of the thing.
There's
you know,
only
you
3
pick a
elements to
classifier
steel
like, I'm gonna-
challenge. So,
What's that?
a draw, shooting the shot, and then transitioning.
Right. So I think maybe Homeboy needs to make this less complicated.
Yeah,
You know?
I could see that a little bit, I guess.
I mean, he's at the point where his technical skills are pretty good, I'm sure. So it's just like, I like your approach, Hopkins. Like, figure out what the time needs to be and just make that time. I would start with like, all right, I need to shoot this stage in 2.2 seconds. So maybe they're going to go into the dirt, but I'm going to fire all 5 rounds in 2.2 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? just
And
going to
do it in
start
dry
there.
fire with that time and just start pushing it down.
Yes, he's going to have to. I think it's more mindset at this point. He needs to push harder because he's out training these guys.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
From what I've seen.
I'm positive he's training more than
For
the
a
guys.
skill challenge only, yeah, I think so.
Yes, those guys that he's going that are going to smash his face in at the match don't practice as much as him. That's just the fact.
Yeah.
So you say one stage a month. I don't think I could stand that. I'd go one stage a week. But
Okay.
whatever. You gotta love Steel Challenge, man.
Do you?
I mean, if you're gonna train for it that much, you better.
Yeah, I guess.
Jesus.
Kind of like Bianchi. You have a kind of a set bar you need to meet, right?
Yeah. But I mean, what's the point? All right, into the group chat. The next 3 questions should be up. I was under the impression that you need to see your front sight to be able to call your shot. How do you call your shot if you're target focused? Background on this question, I started in 2011, and I'm sure I was target focused. I was told to see the front sight on my shots and tried that, and it really messed me up. I'm trying to find balance, seeing when I need to see, and feel like it's costing me in calling the shot. I know when a shot is bad, but usually not from the sights, more from feel. All right, I think I'll hit this first. This is a misunderstanding of what target focused means. So I think a lot of guys, when I say target focused, they think, well, just look at the target and don't look at anything else. It's not what that means. That means the target's going to appear clear, and then you can still see other things. For example, your sights, they're just going to appear blurry. So you'll be focused. Your eyes will switch to focus on the plane where the target is, and in between you and the target, your gun will appear and the sights will be blurry. So you can use the blurry sights. You can't tell exactly their position because they're blurry, but you can still use them and see them. So target focus does not mean don't use your sights. I think does that answer the question for everybody?
I think so.
Yes. All right. Misunderstanding what target focus means. That makes sense. Okay. Next question. How do you think ports should be used in a match? If all the ports start from the bottom at 4 feet, it puts the shorter shooters at a disadvantage. That's competitive inequality. If all the ports start at 3 feet, the taller shooters are at a disadvantage. I can't see ports being a new part of the rule book. Is this just something MDs should think about, or are you just screwed if you're on the losing end of a port-heavy match? What do you guys think?
Why
about
not
that?
start them at 3 feet and make them taller?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's nothing that really dictates how large a port is. A port
No, I
can
think what he's pointing
the
out is
size
that
of a freaking
there's-
living room window. Or,
there's some inherent unfairness when it comes to ports.
I think I think people are reaching on that. I mean, it's
No, they're not
You know.
reaching. There's some ports that fuck tall people, some ports that fuck short
there's-
people.
exactly. It's just
That's the way it goes.
right.
It pays to be about average height for this sport, I'll tell you that.
Yep.
Is
I think
he asking for a rule? Like we should have a rule?
I
on
think
these?
he's not asking for a rule. He's thinking, well, what best practices be for MDs? I think ports I think using ports like shooting boxes is gay. And what I mean by that is using the port just to dictate a shooting position, or dictate you standing in this spot and shooting. I don't like that. Not that much. I mean, yeah, once in a while it's fine, but generally I'm not a huge fan of really port-heavy bullshit. I don't like that.
Some guy posted something on duty forums about I remember when all the shooting boxes used to be on the ground and then they put them on the walls.
Yeah, that was me.
Really cool.
Well, that's what it is. If you're using it like a shooting box, then it's kind of
exactly.
Yeah, having a low port to force guys to kneel down or get really low, I like that occasionally. It's like having I don't like so much the like a really tall port where, especially if they put a low target behind it and it's tough for short people to get at it. That seems sort of stupid to me. But as far as forcing people to get down low, I think that's on occasion is something that should be done to test your shooting from a low position. getting in and out and being able to manage the recoil of the gun and aim and all that shit. Yeah, so if you have 50 ports in the match, that's too many ports. So mix it up a little bit. I would like that.
At the same time, everything that we see in a, on a stage or in a match, not everything should be freaking easy. Otherwise, why in the hell would we be doing it? I mean, it'd make the sport just boring as shit.
I agree, but when you're using ports not to add challenge, but just to kind of be a lazy stage designer, like that's kind of lame. Everything in moderation. That's how you use ports. How's that sound?
Yeah,
all
definitely.
Right. Hopkins, you want to shit on any matches in particular right now?
Not right now.
All right, good. All right, last question for the day, guys. I've been incorporating the dot drill into my training session. So for those who don't know, this is where you take a 2-inch dot, standard distance is 7 yards, draw the gun, fire 6 shots in 5 seconds at that 2-inch dot.
It's the Garcia dot drill, right?
Yeah, not dot torture. So you do 6 strings, it's pass fail, 36 out of 36 hits on the 2-inch dot is a pass. All right. He says, I've not been able to complete 36 out of 36. To accomplish this, or close to this, do you recommend taking whatever time it takes to go 36 for 36, then work up the speed, maintaining the accuracy, or do I just keep plugging away with the par time and try to be more accurate at speed? Everybody understands what he's saying, right? He can't make the accuracy standard, which is tough. That 2-inch circle at 7 yards is no joke. It's actually kind of a pain in the ass. What to do? He can't do it. What's the solution?
If he's doing it at 7 yards, he needs to move the target closer.
Why not slow down?
Because the time is supposed to be 5 seconds to draw and shoot.
Well, the distance is supposed to be 7 yards, man.
I thought the distance was at like 5 yards, and then you moved to 7, then you moved to 10.
Doesn't matter. The distance is supposed to be one thing, so why are we moving closer?
Okay, so one of the other things to look at too, and actually Matt and I kind of worked with students on this at one of our classes last year. Mm-hmm. I had the students kind of disregard the timer for the first, just the first couple of strings, just to get an understanding of what it was like to shoot 6 rounds from the draw, and use the timer as nothing more than just a start signal to begin. And then we went back and just looked at the timer to record, obviously, how long it actually took that individual shooter to make 6 shots on the dot. And I think most people were probably more surprised at the fact that they could actually get all 6 shots off in 5 seconds or less when they weren't worried about
Jesus Christ.
When they weren't worried about the par time than if they were trying to race the clock. So I think giving yourself the understanding that, seeing what you can accomplish in a certain amount of time versus immediately putting that time constraint on it and then trying to race the clock might help.
Hopkins, what are your thoughts on this?
I think you could do that, or you can just say 4 shots instead of 5, and then work up to 5.
All right, I'll tell you guys what I think about this, and you tell me if I'm off base. So, what I would unequivocally tell him to adjust the distance and not the time. And adjusting the number of shots is a way to adjust the time. You with me? You're adjusting the time you have without adjusting the time you have.
Right.
All right. So I would say adjust the distance. And the reason is the real benefit of that dot drill or forcing people to shoot, very accurately, sort of quickly, where it's kind of that sort of the pace you'd see somebody shoot at, 20-yard plates or something like that, where it's about the toughest shots you'd see on a stage. Not always, but broadly speaking, it's about the toughest shots you see. Having people shoot that pace where they're like bang, bang, bang. That's the pace there is as soon as the gun comes out of recoil, you start working the trigger. Or a lot of times you're working the trigger for the next shot a little bit before the gun is quite settled down. You're still kind of picking back up the sight picture. You're still kind of recovering from the shot, and you start working the trigger again. And that makes things a lot different than group shooting. Just standing there with no real time limit, and you fire a shot and then let everything settle down, and then very, very slowly press the trigger again, and work the triggers as much time as you need, and let the shot go. So when you start turning this drill that sort of teaches you to shoot through the recoil and through the blast, start working the trigger again immediately, and your temptation there is to push the gun down, right? You're going to want to, like, pre-ignition push the gun down, or jerk the shot or something like that. So those are the issues you're working on. And if you turn it into group shooting by removing a meaningful time limit, then you're undermining all the shit you're supposed to be working on. What I like better is keep the speed, keep yourself working at that pace, but you give yourself more margin of error by moving yourself closer to the target. So if you shank the shot a little bit, or push down a little bit, or push the shot sideways a little bit, you're still going to hit the dot. But if you make a big error, you're going to miss. What do you think about that, Tim?
Yeah.
Well, fuck, that's different from what you said, you asshole.
That's not really. That's different from what I said. Did I or did I not say to change the distance of the target? Bring the distance.
I say if you change the time limit, you're an asshole.
Okay.
All right.
Tim said change the distance.
Yeah, you said change the time limit. Fuck you too, Hopkins.
I said time limit.
Yeah. Well, what do you think of my explanation?
I like it.
So
Makes sense.
the time when you would adjust the time limit, I would say, is when they can't hit the fucking dot. You know what I mean? That's when you, like, all right, we can't, like, we're not there yet with the time limit. Let's do group shooting first, or essentially not have a time limit, and work on fundamentals, like how you hold the gun really hard so that the sights are going to recover quickly enough so you have a hope in hell of shooting something like a dot drill. That's where I'd start working on that. Okay. That's it. That's all I got, guys.
All right.
There's no more questions. There's no more nothing. That's it.
All right.
The show's over.
Go home.
All right, listeners, if you have a shooting question you'd like the answer to, bensteger@gmail.com. Email me that shit. You'll get on here. Even if it's really stupid, I'll try to get Hopkins to be nice about it. Right, Hopkins?
We'll see.
You fucking ninja shit, man.